Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the 700 Club. I want to talk to you today before we get into this program about what seems to be happening in the Washington area that alarms me terrifically. The FBI, the Justice Department, is supposed to serve at the pleasure of the President of the United States. He is their boss. But what's happening is the Justice Department and the FBI are out to kill the President. They're not to kill him literally, but to take away his power and to get him impeached in some fashion. And what's happening, this man who is the acting Attorney General, Deputy Rosenstein, is in league with a former FBI director whose name's Comey and a former FBI director whose name is Mueller, who is the special prosecutor. And Comey has written a letter which allows Mueller to expand his inquiries way beyond Russian collusion. And what's happened is they have gone out to one of the districts of the Justice Department in Manhattan and gotten a U.S. attorney to go after a lawyer who represented Trump, and seized his private papers, seized his attorney-client privileged materials, and then is giving them over to other FBI agents who in turn can give certain things available to the special prosecutor. Now, that has nothing to do with Russia, but it's being set up, and the whole idea is these men, and the FBI particularly, have determined they don't like Trump as president, and they want to destroy him. And there's I mean, talk about collusion, it is the worst possible kind. And they are violating the norms of our government, and they're moving beyond anything that's reasonable. Now, how did this come about? Well, the Attorney General, somewhere along the way, was talking to some Russian, and because he was talking to some Russian, he therefore recused himself from all these inquiries and left the Justice Department in the hands of Rosenstein. And Rosenstein apparently is in league with the FBI. But the FBI has stonewalled a congressional inquiry. They have, and the Justice Department, they said, we want these papers. And they said, well, maybe it'll take 2 or 3 years to get the material for you. I mean, this is insane. But they are stonewalling Congress, and they're acting as if they are above the law, but they say, you know, we're the law. And Comey is saying that Trump is like a crime boss. Really? It's horrible. Well, ladies and gentlemen, something's got to be done. So one thing I would ask you to do is to pray for the president, because this thing has gotten out of control. We elected Donald Trump as our president. He is doing a superb job. 51% of the American people think he's doing a good job. They're pleased with him. He's gotten through all kinds of initiatives that are good for us. And we don't need a bunch of gumshoes from the Justice Department trying to destroy him. And this is what's happening, and it's got to stop. So I would, if nothing else, I'd call on you to pray for God himself to intervene in this thing, because I cannot imagine that an agency of government which reports to the president would now turn against the president and try to destroy him. This is strange. In any corporation, you'd say this is insanity. You'd allow a vice president to destroy the president of the institution without any recourse at all. Well, there's got to be some recourse. And you, the American people, need to do something about it. I mean, complain, do everything you can. But the Justice Department right now is out of control. The FBI is out of control. And they are destroying their credibility with the American people. And I just think it's a terrible shame.
Well, I think it doesn't bode well for the future either.
Well, not if you can run into an attorney's office, seize his papers, especially things dealing with attorney-client privilege, and then they want to expand it now to find out Trump's dealing with some film man when they were having a conversation about the women, you know. I mean, this thing has nothing to do with Russians, but it's happening. And ladies and gentlemen, it just appalls me. So, A, pray, B, let your voice be heard. Okay, well, get ready for a tougher American foreign policy on Russia, Iran, and other countries. President Trump's choice for his new Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, is going to his confirmation hearings today, and he says the U.S. has a duty to lead. He is a great guy and a wonderful choice for Secretary of State. Terry?
Well, Pompeo developed a close relationship with the president when he was the CIA director. And the two men agree that the United States has to stand firm against some of the biggest challenges in the world. Heather Sells has the story.
Pompeo is making it clear the U.S. will be taking a strong stand against Russia. As he faces questions over the Iran nuclear deal, North Korea and Syria, Pompeo will also let senators know that he'll strengthen the State Department and reassert its role as a major player in U.S. national security. It's a big contrast with his predecessor, Rex Tillerson, who approved massive budget cuts at state and left scores of top positions empty. He will also leave no doubt about his tough stance on some of the most challenging relationships the U.S. has. Pompeo will tell senators that years of a soft U.S. policy towards Russia are over. Just days after a suspect chemical attack in Syria, he'll speak on military action there and chastise Syria's ally, Russia, calling it a danger to our country. But at the same time, he'll also emphasize that diplomacy with Moscow must continue. His take on foreign affairs closely aligns with the administration.
Russia holds some responsibility in the fact that they guaranteed that Syria wouldn't use chemical weapons again, and they did.
And just this morning, the president tweeted again about a U.S. military response to that chemical weapons assault, saying an attack on Syria could take place very soon or not so soon at all. Pompeo is close with the president, who has asked to get his intelligence briefings personally from Pompeo several times a week. Pompeo is expected to bolster the president on the subject of North Korea, telling senators the president isn't one to play games at the negotiating table. Democratic senators on the Foreign Relations Committee have clearly signaled their concerns with Pompeo.
Some of the positions he's taken in the past, I think, would be challenging in the world to try to explain.
It's not at all clear that Pompeo has the votes he needs to make it out of the Foreign Relations Committee. Most Democrats have already said they will not support Pompeo, and Republican Senator Rand Paul has also said he's a no. But Pompeo could still be approved by the full Senate, making him likely to be the next Secretary of State. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. Mike Pompeo is a fantastic guy, fantastic pick, wonderful man, and you couldn't be represented by anybody any better. And so the Democrats oppose him. Shame on them, and I think the American people will hold them responsible if they are elections coming up, and they are going to have to be accountable. But if the Senate doesn't confirm him, there's something seriously wrong with our processes. Well, in other news, Republicans in the House of Representatives will have a new leader next year after the retirement of Speaker Paul Ryan, who's, again, been a tremendous voice in that body. John Jessup has this.
That's right, Pat. Ryan announced yesterday he won't be running for re-election in the House of Representatives. And as Abigail Robertson reports, even as congressional Republicans say goodbye, they're looking ahead to see who might take his place.
After 20 years, Speaker Ryan surprised the political world with his decision to leave Washington in January. In the end, the main reason for his departure came down to his wife and 3 teenage kids.
What I realize is, if I am here for one more term, my kids will only have ever known me as a weekend dad. I just can't let that happen.
Ryan, who lost his dad when he was 16, told CBN News earlier this year he calls his kids each night he's away to pray with them before they go to bed.
I could not do my job as a husband, as a father, as Speaker of the House without my faith. It is indispensable. It's an integral part of my life. I start my day in prayer. I end my day in prayer.
Ryan reluctantly became Speaker in 2015 after colleagues convinced him he could unite the party and move their legislative agenda forward. Looking back, Ryan's glad he's accepted the responsibility and sees tax reform and rebuilding the military as his biggest achievements.
I am proud of what this conference has achieved, and I believe its future is bright.
Still, many colleagues on the Hill will find it hard to say goodbye.
He's going to be missed. He's a great leader, but he's going to work hard until the very, very end.
Now Republicans face challenging midterm elections, uncertain if they'll hold the majority. But Congressman Robert Pittenger tells CBN News he feels good about Ryan's potential replacements.
Well, we have some good folks out there in our leadership. Just had Kevin McCarthy in my district yesterday. He is remarkable. Steve Scalise is remarkable. Patrick McHenry is my colleague from North Carolina. These are great folks. We're in good hands.
Speaker Ryan says he plans to finish strong in Washington and that he will not leave until his current term has ended. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Thanks, Abigail. Well, the worst may finally be over for the stock market after weeks of wild swings, with the Dow Jones Industrials often moving between 400 and 600 points in a single day. Some analysts believe the market has made it through the worst of a serious correction and say stocks could still move sideways for a while, adding that the market will, over time, move higher. As for the overall economy, it could be weak in the first quarter, but still hit the Trump administration's target of 3% growth for the year. Pat?
Well, all the economic indicators are very positive. The manufacturing index is up, and wages are strong, and the labor market is tight. I mean, it's kind of a good thing for workers. So it looks like the market is stabilized for the time being, and I still would keep a little powder just in case, because I don't think with the huge deficits we're facing and the enormous problems with a war with China, North Korea, Russia, Syria, etc., we could be in trouble. I might add that oil has hit a new high the last few years. It's up at $66 a barrel or more, and going looks like higher. So from way down in the 30s and up to 66, I mean, that's like double what it was. And so people who are in the oil business are probably very happy at what's happening. But what that does to the economy, because oil affects everything that we use and buy. So in terms of inflation, that could be inflationary. Does that mean the Fed will come along and turn the screws, and if they hit the button too hard, that can affect stocks? So in any event, I think a little caution is in order, but I do think the market looks like now is stabilized and is going up, and for that, those who have stocks, those of us who have stocks, are very happy.